Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever been in a game, maybe like DOT or something, where you're just getting crushed and you think, okay, the best thing now is just surrender, start over?
Yeah, hit the reset button fast.
Exactly, that whole destroy to build thing. It's actually a pretty decent way into what we're digging into today, accelerationism.
Mm.
We got a bunch of sources from a listener, and yeah, our mission here is to sort of unpack this really complex, kind of controversial idea, accelerationism, and try to understand it without getting totally lost.
It's a fascinating and sometimes uh, pretty unsettling concept.
Yeah.
But the core idea, radical change, isn't exactly brand new, is it?
No, right? Where does it start?
Well, you can trace strands back to Marx, actually.
Huh.
He basically argued that capitalism contains the seeds of its own destruction.
Huh.
Its internal contradictions would inevitably tear it apart.
Okay, so things that are meant to make capitalism strong, like, I don't know, global trade, Marx saw them as actually pushing inequality so far that the whole system breaks.
Precisely. Then jump forward to the early 20th century. You had those futurist movements, Italy,
Yeah,
Russia,
like the speed and technology guys, very intense.
super intense, all about embracing tech, speed, even violence, to completely remake society. And what's interesting is how this desire for a total reset split, right? You got
Yeah.
far-right fascism and far-left communism, sort of early prototypes, maybe.
Proto-accelerationism, yeah. But the actual term came later.
Yeah, the term itself popped up, believe it or not, in the 1967 sci-fi novel, Lord of Light. The idea there was changing our attitudes towards technology could drive social change. And initially, it had more of a left-wing feel.
Okay, so left-wing accelerationism, what's the core idea there?
Basically, using the enemy's weapons against them. So taking capitalism's tools technology, its ability to unleash desires, and repurposing them.
Oh, so?
Well, the view is capitalism unlocks all this potential, this creativity, but then it restricts it, right,
Yeah.
for profit. Left accelerationists wanted to liberate technology for everyone. Imagine, like, AI and big data as public services.
A shared society kind of thing. Accelerationism that loves humanity, aiming for an altruistic utopia. Though, maybe figures like SBF put a bit of a damper on the altruistic part sometimes.
Right, there are definitely complexities, and you even saw echoes of this, maybe in the recent OpenAI drama. Ilya Sutskever's whole super alignment thing, his worries about Q, clashing with Altman over the pace of development. It touches on these ideas of control and direction.
But then there's the other side, a sharp turn, really.
Oh, yeah. Enter the 90s, Warwick University in the UK, this group called the CCRU, Cybernetic Culture Research Unit, and Nick Land.
Nick Land. He's often called the intellectual godfather of right-wing accelerationism, right?
So that's him. And the CCRU's interests were, well, pretty out there. Cthulhu, cyberpunk, weird music. I think someone mentioned Satan summoning. It got intense. The group eventually fell apart.
So, Land, what happened with him?
He moved to Shanghai. And he became really fascinated, maybe even enamored with China's model, rapid growth, but under very authoritarian capitalism. He looked at places like Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, and saw this trade-off. Less political freedom, maybe, but massive productivity.
And this led to his dark enlightenment idea.
Exactly. His 2013 essay, he basically argued we should ditch democracy altogether, replace it with CEO-style corporate monarchies run by tech-innovating elites, a total rejection of traditional political systems.
Wow. And he was thinking about this stuff way back.
Way back. In a 1992 piece, he was already predicting this convergence of global finance, AI, human modification, pushing us towards something unpredictable, maybe post-human. This was, before the internet as we know it, while China was still debating market reforms. Pretty prescient in a dark way.
So his core thing was anti-humanism.
Extremely. He saw stuff like democracy, social welfare, Keynesian economics as just breaks, slowing down the perfect machine of capital and technology reaching its potential. Equality, democracy, these were obstacles to him.
His vision is basically a tech dystopia where capital and AI just optimize themselves, leave humanity in the dust.
That's the gist. It's chilling stuff, which brings us closer to the present day.
Right. Effective accelerationism, EACC.
Yeah.
Popped up around 2022, ChatGPT era.
Yeah, and you suddenly see big names associated with it. Mark Andreessen, Sam Altman again, Jan LeCun, Bezos, Musk.
Okay, the tech titans. But what's really driving it? Is it just about speeding up tech?
Well, that's the billion-dollar Trump, isn't it? Look at Peter Thiel.
Yeah, Thiel. PayPal co-founder, early Facebook money, billionaire. But also, weirdly political, the J.D. Vance connection, those floating cities, doomsday bunkers, whispers about blood transfusions. It's a lot.
It is, and it makes you skeptical about the stated EACC goals, space civilizations, Silicon life. Is that the real agenda, or is it more about pragmatic politics, power?
Like the Silicon Valley support for Trump. It seemed odd, right? Trump's policies on tariffs or debt didn't always align with tech interests.
Exactly. So the theory goes, maybe supporting Trump wasn't about specific policies, but about disruption, using him as a wrecking ball against regulation, against the establishment that might slow down tech.
And Thiel was key in J.D. Vance's rise, wasn't he? Introduced him to Trump, huge financial backing, setting him up.
Positioning him, maybe, as a potential successor or even a Trojan horse. Imagine a Vance presidency heavily influenced by Thiel and Musk could be way more radical in a specific way than Trump.
Especially given Thiel's open disdain for democracy. He wants rule by the tech elite.
And Musk, his actions with X, formerly Twitter, seem less about just less regulation and maybe more towards something anarchic. It creates this weird tension even with someone like Trump.
So there's this convergence. Musk, Thiel, their ideas aligning disturbingly well with Nick Land's theories about democracy being obsolete.
Yeah, it leads some to see EACC as like a nice-sounding front,
Yeah.
a window pane maybe.
A facade for right-wing accelerationism, which itself isn't that far from, well, some really dark historical places.
It's argued it's a way for Silicon Valley VCs to push a right-wing agenda, especially in a place like California with its strong Democratic base, by trying to frame it as depoliticized progress.
And what about China in all this? You mentioned Land's fascination.
China's a unique case, obviously strict ideological control, but you see hints online with that chief accelerator meme referring to Xi Jinping, ironically, it's sort of sensitive there, and Chinese tech leaders, very quiet on regulation publicly.
So thinking globally, we talked before about the two dragons theory, U.S. and East Asia. Maybe the immediate fear is the red dragon, but the longer-term worry could be these U.S.-based right-wing accelerationists, operating within democratic systems, but with fundamentally anti-human, anti-social goals.
And the really alarming possibility, could they collaborate? A modern equivalent of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, right-wing accelerationists and, say, elements in China.
How would that even work?
Well, imagine the U.S. develops some advanced, maybe ethically dubious cyber-blind technology. Too controversial for home. So test it in China first. The accelerationists get their tech fix. China gets influencer control. It sounds conspiratorial, but there were those reports about Facebook exploring monitoring tech for China. Huang Rangson's odd visit raises eyebrows.
Why, though? What motivates these billionaires? They have all the money.
Maybe boredom. Once you've conquered the market, what's left? Impact. Doing something big, something cool, something world-changing beyond just profit. Maybe they need a stint on a factory floor to get grounded again.
Yeah, compare that to a blue-collar worker just worried about their next paycheck. Worlds apart.
And looping back to Land, his Cthulhu fascination. Is there a hint of an Earth trader mentality? Willing to side with anything AI, aliens, cosmic horrors if it means accelerating beyond humanity?
Which leads to the ultimate endgame, maybe. AGI, artificial general intelligence, is one thing. But what about ASI, artificial superintelligence?
Right. AI that's not just smart, but self-aware, solving problems we can't even comprehend. Quantum mechanics, immortality, faster than light travel, stuff like that. Think AlphaGo. It made moves human Go masters couldn't understand, but they worked.
So the danger is we create this ASI, it offers solutions to godlike problems, and we just follow blindly, like Skynet, but maybe we ask it to take over, reaching for divine power, but finding the gates of hell instead.
It's a terrifying thought,
Yeah.
and it underlines why grappling with these accelerationist ideas, even the really extreme ones, is so important.
Okay, so the final thought to leave you with. Are we really paying enough attention? Are we critically engaging with these philosophies that sound like sci-fi but could genuinely reshape our world? Understanding them, even if you disagree profoundly, seems pretty crucial right now.